Paul, and I'm the Lighting Gourmet. Today we're covering a new topic in lighting, dishing up some information about lighting via our video series. Today's topic is going to be IC versus non-IC housings, recessed housings. We're going to do a general overview of it. We're going to talk specifically about IC rated and what does that mean, and then we're going to talk about non-IC rated, and we're going to finish up with a little discussion about remodel. So let's jump into it. And the general aspects of what you talk about what IC is. Code requires IC housings and exterior walls for many years. It's been that way. It makes for energy efficiency. It makes sense. They're no more expensive than a non-IC housing. They minimize the energy that's moving from the living space to the exterior space, such as an attic. They do impact the wattage that can be used in the can. That's in the specification. So a IC can usually has a lower wattage capability than a non-IC can, but you still need to start with use the IC where it's needed, and don't use a non-IC only where it makes sense to do that. And once you understand the two cans, you'll understand more about what that is. In terms of LED retrofit trims, they will work on both IC and non-IC housings typically. So if you have existing non-IC cans, you can still, most cases, use LED retrofit trims with that. Let's talk specifically about a IC can. Over my head is an example of a 4-inch IC housing. It is a big body. That body allows the heat to dissipate within that body from the bulb. So you can put insulation right on top of that box. You can put 4 inches, you can put 4 feet. It doesn't really matter. That can needs to run 24/7 under those conditions. You just need to lamp it correctly and it'll keep running and running, and it has enough space to dissipate that heat. Minimal air moves from that space that can is lighting up into the space above it. So such as an attic and stuff, that box helps do that. So it makes it very energy efficient, and thus it makes your house very energy efficient, and is again required for exterior wall surfaces and has been for a long time. It will have specific trims and light bulbs that can is rated for, and that's always true. There's every lighting product pretty much has specifications, and every recess will have that, and typically you'll find a label inside the can as well that tells you what those are. You cannot always get a remodel can in IC. I'll talk more about that in a minute and explain that. Let's talk about the non-IC housing. It's kind of the opposite of the IC. So insulation must be 3 inches away from the can, all aspects of it. If you don't do that, it will allow the can, when it turns on, to overheat, and they'll turn automatically off. So for example, if you have a recess in your house and it turns off while in use, and then the next day it's back on, things like that, you either have the too high wattage light bulb in it, or it's covered in insulation. That solves 90% of that problem. And so get the insulation off of it because it's not supposed to be there. IC housing is meant to let air move through it, and that's how the can keeps running with a higher wattage bulb. And so when you cover with insulation, you're not allowing it to pull that air through it, and thus the bulb overheats the can. They're not energy efficient. You want to avoid using them. Many houses before it became required have them still. You do not want to use a non-IC housing on an exterior wall if at all possible. And it also does have lamp and trim specifications, and it will handle a higher wattage lamp apples to apple against a IC housing because it again allows the air to move through it and lets the heat pull through that can. But a recap is use an IC wherever required and work within the specifications of that. I mentioned before, I'm going to mention it again, remodel housings are not always available in IC. They are always going to be available in a non-IC by definition. And so the picture over my head is an example of a non-IC new construction. There's no box. The heat goes right through that can up into the space above it and lets the can breathe. That's how it breathes and gets rid of the heat. So no insulation on top of that. And then I mentioned before, we're going to cover it real quick. Remodel housings, not always available in IC rated. If it's an IC rated housing, it has to have enough space to dissipate the heat from the unit. And so there's got to be some kind of space box or something similar for the heat from the lamping to dissipate and not have to flow through that housing. And so to do that with a remodel housing, there's the same as a new construction, it needs a certain amount of space, and remodel housings don't always allow that. So a 5 and 6 inch remodel can allow that. So there are 5 and 6 inch IC remodel housings. There are not 4-inch remodel IC housing. So where you want a 4-inch recess and it needs to be IC and you want it remodeled, you're not going to find that. Whether it's a 120 volt feed or it's a 120 volt feed to a step down MR16 12 volt or something like that. So they're just, you can't, the body's so small, there's no space to allow the heat to dissipate. That will probably evolve in the future here with the just continuous growth and change in the industry in terms of LED and et cetera. But right now that doesn't exist. So, and here again is another example of a new construction non-IC housing. And then here's an example over on the left side of a remodel non-IC 4-inch. This happens to be a step down 12 volt remodel can. So with that, that wraps up this topic. We have other video topics where we're always creating them. We want to hear from you. Some of the ones you can see right now: basic recess, terminology and parts. What is a retrofit? It's very important to understand what that is if you're doing any kind of new construction or remodeling. What's a new construction can versus remodel? What do we mean by that? Square versus round. Square is hot, so people are using them. You want to understand why to use them, why not to use them, some of the things to watch out for. Lamped versus integrated recess. That's a complicated topic. There's multiple videos coming out on that. And but that's very important too, because integrated is kind of a big deal in a lot of projects and various other topics. So if you do not see a video on a topic you want to hear about, write us, shoot us a note, bruce@lightinggourmet.com, and we'll see about creating one. If you like a video that you see, please let us know. We appreciate the feedback. And with that, you guys have a great day and enjoy another video.